Okay, for adding and subtracting rational expressions, the one thing you need is a common denominator. So just like when you're adding and subtracting two numbers that are fractions, you need a common denominator there. It's the same exact process. So if you just keep that in mind, then you shouldn't have any problems. So here's our first example. So here my denominators are identical. So we have a common denominator, so we don't need to change it. So since I do have a common denominator, I am allowed to subtract the second one from the first. So we do want to be careful because when we subtract this numerator, there's two terms in the numerator. So we do need to subtract both. If you want to write it out like that, you can, and it's all over my same denominator. We can see we have to subtract both terms. That's why it needs parentheses. You can skip this step, but I just wanted to show you. So it's minus x minus 7 all over my common denominator, x minus 3. And we can add our like terms, x minus 7 all over x minus 3 is my final answer. You might be tempted to cross off those x's, but remember when you simplify, you cancel factors, not terms. Terms are separated by pluses and minus, and we don't want to cancel those terms that are in x. Okay, so that was subtract. Adding's the same thing. So, but here, this is different than the previous one because we don't have a common denominator. So if you look, LCD, we're not going to manipulate anything. These are different. They're both prime. So my LCD is x minus 5 times x plus 4. So I like to work down. I write the first term, x minus 5, copying that first expression, x minus 5, and I'm going to wrap this because I'm going to be multiplying. I'm missing the x plus 4 on the bottom, so we multiply by x plus 4 on the top and bottom by the same thing. That's times 1. Doesn't change my amount of that fraction. And here I copy, same thing. I have an x plus 4. I need an x minus 5, which you can multiply by x minus 5, or x minus 5 is 1, so you're timesing that fraction by 1. And again, we don't want to cancel. Okay, we have a common denominator now. So my answer is my denominator of x minus 5, x plus 4. On the top, I'm just going to write it out and then I'll distribute. It's 2 times x plus 4 plus 3 times x minus 5. Again, we don't cancel because we have to now distribute. So it's 2x plus 8 plus 3x minus 15 all over my common denominator. And 2x and 3x is 5x. Plus 8 minus 5 is minus 7. I'll change that to minus. All over my common denominator. Again, we can only cancel anything here if we have a factor of x plus 4 or a factor of x plus 5, which we don't, which means this is my final answer. But always do look after you add and subtract to see if you can simplify by factoring, numerator, denominator, canceling factors. Okay, a couple more. So now I'm going to subtract these. So my LCD is just x times y. So 1 over x minus 1 over y. I'm just copying it, but I'm going to multiply by y over y. And this one, x over x. So I can see it's y times 1 is y, minus x times 1 is x, all over my common denominator x, y. And we cannot cancel anything because y minus x can only cancel with y minus x, x with x, y with y, so we are done. Nothing cancels. Okay, here's another example. We want to simplify 3a plus a, well, 3a over a minus b plus b over b minus a. Here's the thing though. We don't want to say my LCD is a minus b times b minus a, because that would just be too big. The problem will be enormous, and then we'll have a lot of simplifying to do if you don't find the smallest common denominator. We do notice, remember that those stacked against each other equal to -1, they're opposites of each other. So here what we want to do, probably we'll focus on this one. We rewrite this a plus b as a minus a minus b, okay? So that this comes over here. I just copy. And so again, we can see I subtract a, and that's minus a, which I have. I subtract a negative b, it's positive b, which I have. So now we almost have a common denominator. You can't have a positive a minus b over here and a -1 over here. So what we want to do, just to remind you, if I have a over negative b, that's the same as if I put the negative on top. And it's the same if the negative is in the front, okay? One negative is one negative is one negative. Doesn't matter where it is in a quotient. So that's what we're going to do over here to the right. I'm going to put that negative to the top. Or if you want to look at it, this negative here can be a subtract now, minus a plus b. Or you can keep the plus there and distribute the negative to the a plus b. It's the same thing. So now we have a minus b, a minus b. Now we have it all set up that we have our denominator exactly the same. So the answer is 3a minus b. You do need to subtract both of those terms all over my common denominator, 2a minus b all over a minus b is my final answer. Again, those negative b's, I know it's tempting to cancel them, but don't do it. Those are terms. You cannot cancel terms, only factors. 2a minus b, there's nothing in common that I can factor out. Okay, one more example. Okay, so we want to simplify this expression. Again, the work goes into figuring out what your least common denominator is. Okay, so x minus y needs to be in there. The second one, this we do know. We do know this factors into x plus y, x minus y. So we don't want to say our common denominator is x minus y times x squared minus y squared, because there's a common factor in there, x minus y. We don't need to list that twice. So we're going to just list x minus y times x plus y. So as you can see, x minus y divides into there, and of course, both of them divide into there. So that's my LCD. So my first term here, 10 all over x minus y, I need the missing factor of x plus y, x plus y. So be careful in finding your LCD is my point here. This denominator here, we can build off of it. You can look at it that way. So now I have to distribute the 10. My final answer in the denominator is I don't know if it's my final, x minus y, x plus y. The order doesn't matter. And then I have 10x plus 10y. And then again, be very careful here. You need to subtract both terms. So it's minus 3x plus 2y. And then, now that I've distributed, I can add my like terms. 10x minus 3x, 7x, 10y, 2y, plus 12y, all over x minus y, x plus y. Or you can have those two in different orders. Again, the top 7x plus 12y, there's nothing in common. You can't factor it out, and you can only cancel factors. So that's my final answer. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch the next topic, which would be complex fractions, the link will be in the description. Thanks.